I stepped away for a week. You had Matthew on last week, and I had assumed that Matthew was gonna. I mean, I heard the episode,
the Chug Chug Wee.
Yeah, and he really dropped the ball on that one. So I'm assuming that you had time to kind of fill in his place and get the track done this week.
Well, see, I thought since you were going to be with Josh and you guys are going to have all your stuff set up, you're going to be recording anyway. In some manner. That's the loudest can on earth. That you would record a track. So
in what universe did you think I would have time to record a track while doing a musical?
Well, I mean, you've never done any of that before. So you've never experienced the sitting around and waiting. So I thought, while
is there
you were
normally sitting around and waiting? Because my God.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you actually, the JHS Pedals the Musical happened very quickly. Usually these things take a lot longer to get together. So there's a lot more sitting around and waiting, especially for the musicians. I've played in the pit of a couple plays and stuff in high school.
I think it was a little bit different for me because I was playing in it, and we were also providing the video streaming rig, and Tilly was the video producer and show producer. So that combined with, of course the rig doesn't work as soon as we get here. Like the first 2 days were me just troubleshooting my $3,000 rig that I paid for last year that just doesn't work. Isn't that great? Don't you love when that happens? Like, hey, I'm going to buy this stuff because it's the best. And then you get to where you need it to go, and then there's just one key component of this whole system that's like, I don't work now. There was an automatic software update that went out from Blackmagic, and now I don't work. And I won't work until Blackmagic decides. Anyways, I'm going to not talk about that because I'm going to get angry, and
we have other things to get angry about.
We have other things to yell about today. Oh man, what's up, everyone? Episode 30.
30.
Hey man, in five episodes we can legally run for president.
Oh, is that all it takes?
It's all it takes.
I mean, well, that makes sense. It's crazy to think that in just 22 odd episodes, right? 22 episodes. We'll be at 52. That'll be a year's worth of episodes. So
my God,
that's crazy.
How crazy! Shout out to the Patreon chat. You guys are killing it this morning. Oh yes. Sheev Palpatine showing up in the chat this morning. I can feel your anger.
Good on you knowing his first name.
Of course, Sheev. I just named one of my hard drives Sheev. So all of my hard drives are Star Wars character names. So,
oh really?
My main work drive, my solid state drive that I do all my stuff with, is Admiral Akbar. The drive I'm recording to right now is General Grievous. I have a few backup drives right there. Wedge and Tilly's, shout out. Team Wedge. And then I just bought a new backup drive for another computer, and that is Sheev Palpatine.
You're giving everybody the names of your hard drives so that if they ever can get into your wireless, they're going to be like, there's that one. Steal.
Fine. You can have it. It's a bunch of YouTube videos. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of YouTube videos and a bunch of unused footage of me screwing up lines and cursing into the camera. So yeah, have fun with that, internet.
So how was your trip? I mean, we Marco Polo every 15 minutes, so we're on that. But I mean, how did everything else go?
Honestly, it was great. It was a genuinely great experience. The week leading up to it, I was in full panic mode, and I was like, I shouldn't have done this. This is crazy. I don't have enough time to do everything. I was freaking out. And then once we got on the road, I forgot how much I missed just driving. So we drove from Atlanta to Kansas City, which ended up being about 13-hour drive. We split it up, went to St. Louis first. And that's the first time in over a year that I've traveled, and it just felt good to travel again, first of all. And then working, I have to admit, man, well, that sounds weird because it sounds like I didn't think this would be the case. Let me rephrase that. I have to say, working with Josh and the whole JHS crew was one of the most fun and enjoyable experiences I've had as a musician. They are fantastic people.
Nice.
Really, really great crew over there. A lot of fun to hang out with. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, how to kind of step my game up in terms of the YouTube channel and running a business. Because you have to keep in mind with the JHS show, their YouTube channel, that's like essentially a side project that they do.
Right. Yeah.
And it's done at a really high level, really, really well, while also running a multi-million-dollar pedal company, while also writing a book, while also archiving pedal history, while also writing and performing a musical in 8 weeks. Like they are killing it over there. So,
gluttons for punishment.
my God. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've never been in a musical before. I've never seen a musical before. I've seen like musical, like, movies and stuff like that, but never like musical theater. Never been to a Broadway or off-Broadway play.
Not even like in high school, you didn't?
Never. Dude,
No.
I was so uninvolved in high school. I didn't care about anything in high school.
I get it.
Yeah, so never went to a play, never did any of that stuff. And got kind of thrown into the band leader role, the MD role, which I was not anticipating, but it ended up working out. And all that to say, I can't wait to do the next one. It was a blast.
Right. Are you giving too much away by saying that? The next
Oh,
one?
no, there's going to be more. There's going to be the
Right.
70s, 80s, 90s. They, like I said, man, they don't mess around over there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Josh spoke to me a little bit afterwards, and he's a man of ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And he has this thing that I actually have really been inspired by. There's, so I have this like metal sign in my studio space. Just there is no plan B.
Right.
And they have this sign in there. You can't really see it. It's off camera, but it just says, just try stuff. And I just would look at that and be like, oh yeah, just try stuff. Just try it. See what happens. Like,
right.
And that mentality is how you come up with a idea for a musical and execute it in 8 weeks. Just try it.
Just try stuff. That's it.
So how was your week? Shout out to Matthew Timmons. He did a great job last week. We listened to the episode on the way home. It was good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was very like I got there and I had this like vision of like setting up the camera and the lights and making it, because like on Fridays Nova works 4-10, so they work 4 10-hour days. So Fridays is mainly just the office folks, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to like set up in the shop,
right?
And like have the like turn the lights off and like make it really cool. And he's like, let's do it in the office so we don't bother anybody. I'm like, dang it. But I didn't
That's
ask.
when you just tell him. You're just like, no, we're gonna do it in the shop because this will be cool.
Well, but Friday is also the day where Dennis really has full reign of the shop, and that's when he works a lot of his signature stuff. So he was in there. Like I heard like a bunch of AC/DC and ZZ Top like loud in the like the shop area of Novo, and I could just imagine like Dennis is out there just like listening to music.
Speak of the
cutting
devil.
stuff.
Speak of the devil. Literally. Well, this isn't going to focus, but I just got a text from Dennis right now. His ears must be burning. Are you ready to announce your thing yet, or is that still?
Well, I can say, so I am moving into a commercial space. Nothing is signed or finalized yet, but that it's going to be a shared space with technically a couple other companies if we want to get really crystal clear on it. But I'm going to have a workshop, an office. There's going to be a showroom and shared video and audio and all that sort of spaces. So nothing is like signed or inked in blood yet, but it's hopefully going to be in the next couple weeks. I mean, ideally within 2 months, I'm going to be in a new facility, brand new, like all in. And I posted today that I'm going to start taking resumes. So pretty scary.
All right, hear that, podcast land. If you want to work for Jack Broilis yourself, send your resume to fax it in to 1-800 help me build
555 mythos
555.
Yeah, I enjoy like getting the emails and starting the conversation with people. But the one thing I don't enjoy is anytime you see someone post a job, and I'm sure you've seen this or maybe experienced this. It's like, man, I wish I lived there. Like, okay, yeah, I wish you did too. Like, why? Like, move along.
Move along.
I know.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
but because I just want to really like. This is the first time I've ever done this, so it's kind of stressful, the prospect of bringing on another person, especially, I want to hire someone who's competent with soldering, and, I don't necessarily care if you built pedals, that's a plus, but if you know how to solder, that's kind of, you got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But above all things, like, you just have to be a good hang and like,
reliable, good hang.
But but building pedals is kind of paramount to the whole thing.
Yeah. I just recently hired my first, I'm calling him a production assistant, but he's essentially, the idea is within the next 6 months to have basically a clone of me so that he does everything I do and he can just come in and like, but I didn't put out a blast. I called around, and it was actually one of my former guitar teachers from when I was at AIM. He's now the head of a jazz guitar department here at Kennesaw State University. And I just asked him, I was like, hey man, I'm looking for this kind of position. Do you have anybody? And he was like, oh, I have the perfect guy. And it was literally just the first guy. We had a Zoom call. We talked for like an hour. His name's Chris, and he came over and started feeling it out. And he's still finishing up college right now. So he's only coming in 2 days a week because he's trying to get ready for his recital and all this kind of stuff. But honestly, man, like he was here yesterday, and I'm working on my control issues. So I'm working on like letting go. And I was like, okay, here. I shot a vlog of the musical thing that hopefully will go out today while after we're filming this. And I was like, here's just get it rough edited, and I'll take it from there. And I had like 2.5 hours of me not knowing what to do with myself, because I knew he was in there, but I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna hover over him, and I'm not gonna like watch him edit. Yeah, I was like, oh, don't do that there. Okay, no, J cut, do a J cut there. Oh, let's tweak that color there. So I just left the room, and I just wandered around the house for like 2 hours, not knowing what to do with myself.
Right.
Like, so that was yeah, I think that's gonna be you. You're gonna be standing there with like soldering iron and be like, what? Okay, he's building pedals. I guess I should answer emails, or
I added up everything because like I have like a running spreadsheet, and one of my ideas, and I haven't like fully fleshed this out yet, but I kind of want to have like an old TV or something that just like has like what we have in order and different things I can put up on the wall. And one thing I tend to not do, because my dealers like occupy so much of that space, is if I sell things direct, I don't put it up there. Like I know what I have to build, and I know the time frames I have to build them, but I don't have the numbers in front of me. So I put all that up there, plus the things I'm going to have to build, like the Wildwood and some more stuff for Mass Street, and I put that on there. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to like have someone else building and me not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like 600 plus pedals. So it's crazy.
Also, shout out to Mass Street. I was within 45 minutes of Mass Street last week, and we just didn't have time. I tried to get out there, but we didn't have time. So if you guys are watching, I'm sorry. But,
it's all good. They, I mean, you know, no big deal.
Yeah. So that's fun stuff.
Yeah. And I did release the Oracle, which is right. There's one.
This was going to be my shill of the week, but I'll go ahead and we'll do a pre-shill here.
Hey.
Wow.
Pre-shill. There she is. What do you think of the color? It's an interesting color.
I like the color a lot.
I think it's confusing people.
Why?
Because everyone assumes it's just a straight up clone of a vintage like Maxon or Ibanez or even.
I could see that.
But it's not. It's not a clone. It's an original.
That should be your copy. Hey, it's pink, but it's not a clone.
Well, shout out to my buddy Chris Evans, not Captain America Chris Evans. He's another Chris Evans, but if you saw the Instagram post, and I have a few more we're gonna share, but he made these ads that I wanted to make something that looked like it came out of Guitar Player. And I sent it to you, some of the first ideas. But yeah, the one on Instagram just says pure Bucket Brigade power, and that's it.
Here's an idea. What if you did an ad series for your pedals based off of Nintendo Power Magazine circa 1996?
Get hand drawn, like
the
dude. Nintendo
shout out anybody in the chat remember Nintendo Power?
Oh yeah,
dude. I think I still have some of those copies laying around.
Oh, that was like what we took to. That's what we got in trouble for at elementary school, for having like during class, and they're like, "Put that up." I'm like, "But I need to look at this walkthrough for Zelda 2.
I need to learn how to beat Pokemon Snap."
They have the whole map of Super Metroid. What's wrong with you?
I'm studying.
Leave me alone. One of my favorite things, Nintendo Power, when I was like in middle school. So you were probably like wrapping up elementary school, like when the N64 came out.
But yeah, that was 96 when the 64
something like
came
that.
out.
Yeah, it was like right as I was getting into middle school. They started putting like soundtracks, and I got, I think maybe not, but or maybe you can like mail away. But I got like the Super Mario 64 soundtrack.
Sick.
and the Killer Instinct soundtrack and all this like silly stuff.
Dude,
I think I had the Donkey Kong soundtrack.
Nintendo scores are some of the hippest. That we were talking about this the other day. The Wii that's going around TikTok now, where like people are covering, like guitar players on TikTok are covering the. And when you see somebody play it as like a chord melody, it's like, dude, that's hip. Like,
oh man,
that's really sick.
I play because Graham, my son, loves like video game music. He's really into it. And it's like the chiptune thing drives Morgan crazy. Like she's fine if it's like the actual instruments playing it, but like hearing like the actual like NES chip, like just lined out, she can't stand it. But to me, it's like so inspiring that all these composers in the 80s like had basically 4 or 5 tracks, right? Because there's like a square wave, a sine wave with modulation, a noise. There's not much, and they made these fantastic melodies. And so
amazing stuff, dude.
I go on rants about how Koji Kondo is like one of the most inspired composers of all time.
He is,
like
man.
Zelda, and
he really is. Like it's amazing. And so I recently got a PS5, and I've been playing. Now I'm like getting back into video games after like 10 plus years of not really playing stuff. Yeah, and I'm playing Destiny like with headphones on. And like listening to the sound design and the score, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I have the 3D headphones, and it's pretty weird. It's pretty crazy how far we've gone.
Bill Craig in the chat says my musical claim to fame is one of my band's songs made MLB 2002 as a walk-up song for the batters. That's
nice,
sick.
That's awesome.
Do you remember the Xbox game MX versus ATV Unleashed? Did you ever play that game? It was like the off-road.
I'm sure I know of it, but I don't know. I didn't
so
play
good,
kind of
and it had like the quintessential late 2000s butt rock soundtrack to it, but it was like it had like crossfade and a bunch of stuff, and it was good. It like fit the vibe of the game. It was fun,
Nice, man. I have very fond memories of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and just
Primus and all that stuff.
All the punk and like all the stuff on there. There's
all the ska punk stuff.
Yeah.
My God, dude, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. All right, we have to stop because this is turning into a video game nostalgia podcast.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our dip in our rig here.
Let's dip a rig.
Let me drop it into the chat. Upload. That's kind of like a Christmas tune, wasn't it?
Yep. Oh, buddy.
So this was cool. So this is a
bird.
This is Anthony Campbell's rig.
Oh man.
And he sent his setup here, and it's pretty sweet. He's got a 2005 Firebird 5.
Love it.
A GFI Ultra D10, so I think that's probably like a 10-string lap steel.
Yep.
Or no, pedal steel.
Pedal steel, single neck, right? Or am I seeing a double neck there?
I think that's just a single neck.
Okay, it's kind of a weird angle.
And on his pedal board here, he's got Strobo Stomp, Cali 76, R Weaver Effects Violet Vibe, some sort of big univibe, an Argonaut, self-shill, Mojo Gear FX AC 128 Fuzz, a Nobles ODR1, Voodoo Lab Giggity, Zcat Vibrato Reverb Trim, and then a Strymon Deco. And he's playing with the Quilter 101R and then the Interblock 45 into two 1x12 cabs.
Also, shout out to the DeLorean model on top of the Quilter there. See that?
Oh, yes.
Back to the Future.
Yes.
So I as soon as I saw the pedal steel, I was like, oh, this guy, he's got to be playing a solid state amp. And I then saw the Quilter. It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, I love this rig. First of all, shout out to the pedal steel.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a pedal steel for a long time. And then last year, we played a few gigs with Noah where we had a steel player out with us. And I was like, hey, man, let me take a swing at this. And he like kind of showed me the ropes. And within 30 seconds, I was like, oh, no. Nope, not for me. Hell no.
This is hard.
This sucks. I can't do this. But I love pedal steel. It's one of my favorite sounds, I think.
Oh man, I was in an Americana band, and we had a pedal steel player that would like go on the road with us sometimes because it was such a bear to like drag that thing around. Mm-hmm. And, it was just they're so heavy.
They're
and big.
So heavy, dude. My God. My God. And they can blow up amps. So if you're not familiar, the reason I thought about him playing a solid state amp is like, because you can get so high up in the register, I mean, they can really overpower some tube amps, and some speakers. So from what I understand, steel guys are pretty picky when it comes to what kind of amps they play. I think like Little Walter was a big. That's kind of how Little Walter started, was building steel amps. Same thing with Milkman, right? Tim Marcus is a big steel player. They typically like really high headroom, really clean, really powerful amps that can take some abuse, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the PV Nashville was like the quintessential solid state steel amp forever, and they usually have like a speaker with like an aluminum dust cap. You know, it's just like the most clear and abrasive thing ever, but that's the sound, you know.
Yeah, because you need an amp that's going to produce a wide. I mean, it's almost like a full scale kind of frequency response, because they can go like a typical 10-string steel like that. Like you can go real low or real high.
Yeah.
My favorite pedal steel player though, Daniel Lanois. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever listened to stuff he does with pedal steel, but it's unbelievable.
I don't think so. I more often than not, I'm always hearing like lap steel players, but pedal steel is one of those instruments that just like you, because we had so many of them at Carter Drink. That, you know, every now and again we'd have one set up and someone would take it in a room, and like when they got done, if we had to give them a bar, there would be a bar there, and I'd try to work it. But you know, the fact that you're using your hands, your knees, and your feet is a little too, like, I struggle just using both my hands playing a normal guitar, you know?
Yeah.
So,
it's slide, just regular slide is hard enough for me. So I can't imagine like putting it horizontally and then adding my other limbs involved. I can't do it. So all the respect to the steel players. Yeah.
I don't understand harmony and theory well enough to say, this is like changing everything. Like this is changing the fifth to the, I'm like, I don't know what that means.
So, shout out to the Firebird 5. That's the one to have. Miss me with the reverse. Or I can never remember this. Never get this right. This is a reverse Firebird.
This is a reverse. Yes.
The non-reverse Firebird is awful, I think.
I like the non-reverse, but that's just because I'm different.
Yeah, it's because you're just weird. The reverse Firebird 5 is a killer guitar. Weird thing about Firebirds, if you've never played one, they take some getting used to, because everything is shifted so far to the left. And you can kind of tell if you just look at the body and you look at where the tailpiece of the bridge, not the actual bridge, but where the tailpiece is. And then you think about that compared to a Les Paul. The first time I ever played a Firebird, I was sitting down and I went to strum it and my hand just went right into the bridge, right into the tailpiece. So you kind of have to shift to the left a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like if you're a guitar player and you're sitting down, it feels like you're playing like where the nut is, like a bass.
Yeah.
But for me, they're like Firebirds. I can't play them sitting down. Like standing up, they're cool. I like Firebird 1s. If I was ever gonna have one, I'd have a Firebird 1.
Dude, they're so rad.
Yeah, but
so rad.
But yeah, the Firebird 5 is like, that's the Johnny Winter. That's the classic, Firebird setup.
Gibson a couple years ago, they did the Clapton Firebird 1 reissue, and it was stupid, ungodly money, but man, it was cool.
Yeah, Firebird 1s, like originals, are pretty rare and expensive. So we had a custom shop red one at Carter Drink for forever. No one ever bought it, and one of the videos before John and I took over doing videos there was JD Samo playing it through a 69 full Marshall Super tremolo amp.
My God.
It was purple. It was a whole matching
Hendrix,
purple.
like a Hendrix stack.
I mean, this was like really from 1969. Legit matching purple. It was just him. And I don't see how Walter stood it, because he filmed it standing in front of like JD, who was standing in front of the cab, and JD just dimes everything. Yeah. And it sounded amazing, but it also just, the camera mic was just completely blown out. But it was like, that is just sick. So there's a soft spot in my heart for the Firebird 1 because of Clapton and because of getting to hear those things. It's just like so neat.
And the Firebird pickups, man, they do a thing, Drink.
Yeah.
They really do. They're not mini humbuckers. They're just different. It's its own kind of sound.
I don't know the difference, like how they're made. I think they're rails on the inside or something.
Yeah, it has something to do with the construction.
Yeah, because they're not, like a mini humbucker is just literally a shrunken humbucker.
Shrunken Humbucker is my side project, by the way.
Shrunken Humbucker. Oh gosh. But yeah, so
let's jump
moving
into
on to
this pedal board here.
Yeah, so
This is a clean build.
yeah, it's nice. He's got Strobo Stomp, Peterson, hard to beat.
Yep,
Peterson.
and that's got to be for the steel. Getting that thing
Yeah.
tuned.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard bad about Petersons is that they're so accurate that you can drive yourself mad.
Yeah, it'll never be. Yeah.
Perfect. Cali 76. If I was ever going to have a compressor, that would probably be the one I'd get.
Yep.
Because it's like, that's the compressor. Big Univibe looks sick. I love Univibes in a big box.
Yeah, it's just something about them,
I need to get a replacement for my Deja Vibe because I sold it ages ago.
Get the Tinsley, the Sir Henry Vibe. It's killer.
I really want one of those ones that RJ plays that are in the bent metal. Like I want it to have the look.
Oh, the original?
Yeah. There's something about it. It's like in my brain, it's like it has to be in that like bent metal box. But super sick.
Argonaut, self-shill.
Yeah,
the Mojo
just octave
gear,
up.
That looks like an RC boost. What is that?
It does, but that is, let's see, what did he call it? It's an AC 128 Deluxe Fuzz, so it's probably some sort of modified fuzz face.
Yeah, got it.
ODR1, Nashville staple.
Classic staple.
Because Tom Bukovac bought them all when they were like $25 and just gave them to everybody.
Yep. They're great though. I just got, so Brown Amplification out in Kansas City. They sent me home with the Protein, which I believe is the ODR1 in one of the sides. I haven't played it yet, but
yeah, it's an ODR1 and a Blues Breaker.
Oh yeah, that sounds like it's right up my alley.
The ODR1 has too much bass.
The originals do, but the modern ones you can cut the bass, right?
On the
like
new
the
ones, yeah, there's a little trimmer in the back, which is really smart. And when people ask about it, it's like because I think they're still only like $100.
Yeah.
What's the best ODR1? It's like just Nobles. I don't know. Like get that one. I'm just like who makes the best Ibanez Tube Screamer? Well,
everyone.
I mean Ibanez, like love or hate them, you cannot dispute the fact that an Ibanez Tube Screamer sounds just like the original Ibanez Tube Screamers when you compare them.
Well, yeah,
it's like
same with the Electro Harmonics reissues. Like Josh, the JHS guys did a video on this last year, and it was like, yeah, you're right. The reissues, buy the new ones. They sound just like the old ones.
Well, the funny thing about Tube Screamers, and I don't know if the Nobles are still like this, but literally the Tube Screamers, it's the same circuit board. It's like it like you open it up and like to the untrained eye, you could not tell the difference between them.
Right.
But moving on. So he's got the Giggity, which is, I'm not sure what that's based on or what it's based around, but I know it's a Voodoo Lab thing that has like different gain voicings and things like that.
Cool.
Voodoo Lab makes great stuff. Like their pedals are great. And then that next one is like what did he say it was? A vibrato
Tremolo.
reverb trem. So it's got
that's cool.
A lot going on up. Z-Cat. Haven't heard of that.
Never heard of that, but looks cool. And then I mean, hold on. We gotta just props. Strymon Deco. This is the first time the Deco I think has shown up on a rig being dipped. And
I think so.
I think it's still Strymon's most underrated best pedal. I know a couple of weeks ago we were talking, or wait, when was that? No, I was on a different podcast. I was on the Tone Mob podcast. They asked me if I could have one, either the Deco or the Flint, what would I go with? And I said the Flint. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, if I could only have one. But the Deco, dude.
The Deco is way more interesting.
Yeah, and it's usable too. You can do all kinds of stuff with the Deco.
The boost thing on it, they're wicked. I always wanted to get one and just never have. And then, Strymon pedals are just one of those things like you just buy a new one because a used one's going to cost about the same amount.
Honestly, I think you should get a Deco. I think you would have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I do like them.
It has, so the left side is like a tape. So essentially, if you're not familiar, the Deco is like essentially like a reel-to-reel tape machine in a box. I made a video on this like 2 years ago, self-shill. And so it's a two-sided pedal. The left side is like your tape saturation, and you can go all the way from like just subtle, very just kind of rolling off some top end, adding some warmth kind of thing, to all the way like almost fuzz territory. Yeah. Then the right side is everything from double tracker to chorus flanger. As you turn that time knob up, it goes from like double tracking, chorus flange, slapback delay to full on like tape echo delay. And then there's a dip switch in the middle there that lets you switch between different kind of things. So you can do stereo in and out, and it'll do stereo delays. I mean, it's really, really cool. Yeah. You can also set it to take line level, and this is one of my favorite things to do with it. This is why it doesn't live on a board for me, is because I will set it to line level, put it on my desk, and patch it into my recording system and send drum tracks through it, send vocal tracks through it, track bass with it. Like, it's really, really cool. It's a really cool pedal.
Awesome. And then he's got a couple Quilter amps here. And he's got the Quilter Interblock 45, which is like an amp in a pedal. So it's, like the size of a King of Tone, essentially. They sent me one of these a while back. I traded some pedals for it because I was going to use it as a headphone rig for NAMM.
Yep.
And with headphones, it didn't really work. But running into a cab, it's basically like a JTM 45 sort of amp in a box. And running it to a cab is pretty impressive.
Right.
The Quilter stuff is fantastic. So
I've never spent much time with it. Mm-hmm. But I know RJ's like a big fan. I know there's some people out there that are big fans of the Quilter stuff, and I've heard nothing but good things. So
yeah, that the little Interblock, to me, it's like, I think I ended up, a buddy needed like a backup amp situation, so I think I sold it to him. But it, like, that to me is something, if you're gigging and you have your amp like with you and you need a backup and don't want to bring an amp, like a big amp, you just have something like that, or any of those small like electro harmonics, little power amp things. Because some of those sound pretty good too,
Yeah. And what does it cost compared to like an Iridium or something like that? Of course, an Iridium you can't run directly into a cab. You'd need some kind of.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Let's look. Interblock 45. I don't think they're that expensive. $229.
Okay.
So yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad. Yeah. All right, cool. This is a solid rig. Okay, I'm gonna give this. I love the pedal steel. That's fresh. I love the Firebird. I mean, come on, that's the one to have. Reverse Firebird 5 for the win. The pedal board is great. Big box Univibe, the ODR1, the Deco. This one's really hitting home for me. The only thing that I would add to this, if this were my setup, is I would probably go with some kind of tweed amp. That's the only thing. I think the pedal steel would sound really cool through that. I know the Firebird sounds really cool through that. But other than that, man, I'm going to give this 8.6 shoyles.
I was thinking around 8. I want to give it 8 shoyles as well. Only deducting points because I think there's solderless cables on here.
Oof.
And I don't know why. This is just me. I hate those barefoot buttons. I feel like they break foot switches.
I don't understand the need for those. Why do people put those on their pedals? I don't get it.
I don't know. Like, I understand like it's a little bit easier. It gives you a larger area. And if you tighten them on, but I have had customers say like, hey, my foot switch just broke. And I said, well, how'd that happen? And they send me a picture and it's got the barefoot button on it. And I think it because you could push it, it's not exactly,
it gets off at an angle or something.
Yeah, you're kind of beating the hell out of it. So
yeah.
But a fantastic rig.
Not into those. And I think they make the pedals look goofy, personally.
Yeah, there's some that, I've seen some that kind of look okay. I like the one that's on the Argonaut because it matches the color and it's metal. But the clear ones, I don't know. They just, I can't get behind it.
It's like the equivalent of when somebody takes a nice car and then paints the wheels a goofy color. It's like, why did you do that? You didn't need to do that. And
have lime green brake calipers behind the blue wheel on a red car.
Don't do that. So there you go. 8.6 shoyles, 8 shoyles, solid rig. We love it. If you guys want to submit your rig for next week's episode, you have to be a patron, but you can email us at the link down below and include a little bit of write-up. Now, we have to clarify. We don't want a picture just of all your stuff.
Right.
Okay? We need it needs to be a rig. This week's submission was that's a rig that you would take to pretty much any gig.
Yeah.
And that's great. So
because there were guitars on the wall and we didn't mention those.
He
didn't mention them.
Guitars.
He just talked about this is a setup and that's perfect.
Perfect setup. All right. Cool. So on to today's subject. We might get a little ranty today, Zachary.
I don't think anything's going to get as bad as that Marco Polo you sent me, where we were talking a little more candidly.
I don't want to talk about that.
I think there might have been one or two alcoholic beverages in your system at that point.
I don't want to talk about that. So listen, we're online, we're on the internet, and like everyone else on the internet, we want to cash in on a trend. We want to try and scoop up those delicious views. Like
you're damn right
that everyone else is trying to get here. We're like the hungry hippo, right? We're just trying to just constantly chomp for those views, content. So let's talk about the Acoustasonic Jazzmaster. Now, there's two angles to this that I want to cover, and I think this is going to cover the rest of our episode here. First angle is the guitar itself. Okay, the good stuff, the bad stuff. What do we really think about it? The second angle is the way that Fender released it, which is that like giant social media, like every guitar channel except me, got one and dropped a about on the same day. And
literally everybody,
literally everybody.
I was in shock.
Except me. And I think there's a story there we can talk about. And just, just so you're clear, like Fender didn't even like reach out to me or email me or talk about. I had no idea, and I have a relationship with Fender. Like, I love Fender; they're great. My guy Steven over there is awesome. And last year they gave me an Esquire for free. They gave me one of the American Pro 2 Strats for free, and they gave me a 57 Tweed Deluxe for free. Now the Esquire and the Tweed Deluxe were because I asked for them for some video stuff. The American Pro 2 was because they were launching it, but the Acoustasonic, like they didn't even email me. And I think there's a reason for it that we'll get into in a little bit. So let's start with the guitar itself.
Yeah.
If you have somehow managed to live under a rock and you're not familiar with the Acoustasonic, first of all, I'm envious of you. Second of all, let's explain it for the uninitiated.
Right. So the Acoustasonic series is basically a reimagining of a line of guitars that came out probably in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, which were kind of more built like an Ovation. They had a composite plastic material, something on the back. They were shaped like Strats and Tellys, had a hole, and the original ones didn't have any sort of electric pickup. They had pickups, but just like a piezo kind of thing. And a couple years ago, they relaunched the entire brand. I think they're all built in America.
Yeah, they're built in California. Yeah,
they like developed an entire new facility, partnered with Fishman to create a new version of the Acoustasonic, which is made of wood and has electric pickup that you can combine with. I don't know how Fishman is doing it, but it's some sort of like presets that are made to emulate classic acoustic instruments. And, apparently people love them because they seem to be selling a lot of them.
Okay, we'll get into that in a second.
Well, I mean, like it's done well. It's done really well for them. But yeah, it's essentially like a solid body acoustic guitar with some faux acoustic elements to it. It has a sound hole that kind of curls into the top, but I would argue that acoustically, I've played the Strat, or I played one when they first came out, and unplugged. I was like,
well, that's not the point. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not the point to play it unplugged. Okay, so I have thought more about this guitar in the last week than I have thought about any piece of guitar gear in recent memory. I have a lot of just conflicting thoughts, and I want to be like objective and fair in this because it's so easy to just come on and like be inflammatory and just, rant one way or another. And that's not what I want to do. I want to have like an actual constructive discussion because I think this is a really interesting thing that's happening in the guitar world, and it could foreshadow where some things are headed, right? That's what I think. This is more than just this weird hybrid guitar kind of thing happening.
Right.
And I think Fender thinks that too because they've dumped a lot of money into this thing. So on the surface, as a guitar, I don't get it. I don't understand. I understand that it's very well executed. I understand that it's very well built. I understand that there was a ton of research and development and time and money that got dumped into this thing. I understand that Fishman, as a pickup company, is like really pushing the limits to make plugged up acoustic guitars sound better, which I think is fantastic.
And I think they do that 100%.
Oh, they do. Yeah, 100%. Fishman's like kind of at the bleeding edge of that kind of thing, which is a problem that needs to be addressed because for all of history, plugged up acoustic guitars sound like trash.
Right.
It doesn't matter how nice the guitar is. They all sound bad. I don't understand why Fender decided to go down this route of building a guitar that is not a good electric. It's not a good acoustic. It looks so strange. All of them, the Strat, the Tele, this Jazzmaster. First of all, this isn't a Jazzmaster. Like, let's get that straight. It's just a Jazzmaster in sort of the shape, but it has an acoustic bridge on it. It has a sound hole in the middle of it. Like there's nothing Jazzmaster. It has a humbucker.
Has a humbucker.
There's nothing Jazzmaster about this guitar at all. Other than the shape.
Kimmel in the chat said it's a solution in search of a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So years ago, I had a Taylor T5, and that guitar was not good. It was not a good guitar. Taylor makes great guitars. The T5 wasn't good. It sucked as an acoustic and it sucked as an electric because it was one guitar trying to do both things.
Yeah.
I've played the Acoustasonic Tele, and I think it falls in the same category. It's not a good acoustic guitar. It's not a good electric guitar. I don't understand why they're $2,000, first of all. And I don't understand who the target market is for this. I think that's the biggest thing that's been confusing me is like Fender is a huge company full of smart people. They're hugely successful. They've obviously done lots of market research and decided that this is a good thing to do. I just don't get it. I don't know who this is going for.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I because in today's world, I don't feel like it's hard to play an acoustic guitar loud and get a decent sound, on stage. Not anymore. I mean, if you have an acoustic that doesn't have a pickup or some sort of solution in it, and you don't want to put it in it, sure, it's a bit of a pain to have a mic if you're playing with an actual band. But for the most part, you can get a mediocre acoustic with a mediocre pickup and get a pedal. Something that Fishman or LR Baggs is making and get a really good sound for not a lot of money.
Yeah, actually, speaking of, so this is kind of a shill. They just sent this to me, and I haven't spent much time with it yet, but the LR Baggs voice print DI thing.
Oh.
This is like a DI kind of modeler thing that you essentially plug your guitar into, and it models a bunch of like mic'd up acoustic sounds. I think this is a great solution. This is a great idea to the problem of plugged up acoustic guitars. Right.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing. It's like, who is getting these guitars? And I honestly can see more of people getting interested in perhaps the Tele shape and the Strat shape. They make a Tele shape, right? I'm not
They have the Strat, the Tele, and now the Jazzmaster.
So, I mean, I get it. The Jazzmaster seems like a really odd choice because the natural progression of this to me is make something that looks more like an acoustic guitar because the shape of the thing doesn't really matter.
Right.
The thing that matters is the pickup system and how it feels.
Well, I'm not even there. I'm still on square one, which is like, why do this in the first place? And let me back up here and say, Fender, I'm really, really glad to see you just trying stuff. Right. I think the Tone Master series amps, that's them just like trying stuff, and I think doing a really good job of it. And I think the guitar market, like, we need that. We need sort of the next generation of makers and builders and companies of like trying things.
Especially people that have the money to like actually actualize an idea.
Yeah, exactly. I still don't get it though. Like the Tone Master thing, totally get. Great idea. You guys are killing it on that. This Like, who needs for, and the big thing for me is the price. If this was $7.99, I'd get it. Be like, okay, cool. It's a niche thing. It'll go out. It's for people that like want to play, they want to take one guitar to a gig or whatever, and they just want to bang around on this thing. I get it. It's fine.
Right.
$2,000 though, I don't get that. I would actively, honestly, if anyone asked me, I would tell them don't buy that guitar. For $2,000, I would say do not spend $2,000 on an Acoustasonic guitar. For $2,000, you can get a really good electric and a good acoustic for $2,000.
Oh yeah, and Hunty Boo, I don't know how to say his name, in the chat said, "What kind of amp are you supposed to play it through? Because how is the wiring even done? Is there a stereo jack where you can send it out to like front of house and go it into a guitar amp?"
That's actually a good question. I haven't considered because now that's a problem. It's like so. And the other thing too, the biggest problem that I had with the T5 was you couldn't gig it. It's hollow. It's a fully hollow thin line guitar. So as soon as you started playing with an amp, the thing would just howl in feedback.
Right.
And this with the Acoustasonic, now I haven't played one live. I haven't played one on stage with an amp. So I can't comment on whether it's got the similar problem. They may have taken steps to address that, but yeah, it's like if I brought one of my tube amps and I was playing that, well then I'm not going to play the acoustic setting through the tube amp. So then I'm going to bring a DI for the acoustic setting, an ABY box to switch between the two. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that's a big question that I've had since this launch. And I wanted to say, you're talking about it. Just we can touch on the marketing, but thank God I released that delay pedal on Monday because if it came out on Tuesday, no one would have seen it.
Oh, we'll get to the marketing in a second. I think the marketing is another big part of this.
One thing that I mean, I don't know if this is above all because I struggle with the entire concept of this guitar. But how do you feel about the aesthetic of it?
I hate it. I just hate it.
Do you mind the ones that are just wooden?
There's just nothing. I think it would have been so much better had they not done the sound hole. I don't understand the need for the sound hole. I've seen some of the marketing that says that it does something for the sound and for the acoustic sound or whatever, but Ooh,
they have. I'm on their website and they have one that's got a Coca-Cola top and it's $3,300.
Dude, no.
Yikes. Okay.
No.
Woo.
Don't buy that. Don't buy that. For $3,300. And you know what? Maybe I'm saying this at risk of Fender never working with me again. I'm fully aware of that. So to anybody
this might have to be a Patreon exclusive episode.
No, I'm not, because everyone thinks that YouTubers, they're not ever going to say anything negative about a company because they're not going to turn off that sweet free gear. It's like, no, I think this deserves some criticism here from my perspective, again, which is why they didn't even email me.
Right.
I think there had to have been some sales meeting somewhere where they were like discussing what YouTubers to send it to, and
a big whiteboard.
Yeah, and I'm speculating that at some point my name was brought up and somebody was like, no, don't send one.
Remember how he knocked Gibson down a peg or two? Holy smokes.
Oh my God,
man! The whole aesthetic of it with the sound hole and like the telly, I think the telly gets, it's the one that makes the most sense. The slanted bridge pickup, it like the sound hole still looks goofy on it.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like if you held a gun to my head and said pick one, I'd pick the Telecaster.
Yeah. I would agree with that. The Telecaster, I was like, okay.
The arm carve on it. And then, there's this clear delineation between the top veneer or the paint, and then you see that curve of wood. To me, it looks how, and this is, oh man, talk about Fender will never even bother talking to me again anytime I've talked to those guys. It looks like a cheap import shredder guitar that has like all these crazy curves, and then it has a veneer or finished top where you can see that it's two different pieces of wood. And to me, it's really unattractive. I don't understand.
And
at
look,
all.
that's totally subjective. You know,
100%.
the people love it. Our personal opinion is I don't like it. To me, it's the sound hole. I would get it more if it didn't have the sound hole in the middle of it, but that's just a deal breaker for me. But objectively, that's just my thing. My other sort of question is, and look, if you are watching this or listening to this and you have bought one of these or you are wanting to buy one of these, do not take this as us like
it's not a
shitting
personal
on
attack.
you. It's not a personal attack. We're not like, oh, you're an idiot for buying, even though I did just say don't buy that, but don't.
If you got one, please let us know why you got it and where you're using it. I'm curious.
I'm curious because I am, from my perspective, I'm struggling to see how or who would use this guitar.
Right.
How or who. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I mean, because to me, the one question I've seen repeated in the chat and in other places is, what strings do you put on it?
I think you put electric strings on it. And I think they voiced the acoustic pickup with that in mind, I think.
So is this designed to be like just your one guitar for a set? You know?
I guess.
Someone in the chat also said this is for guys who play at wedding gigs. And I'm like, well, you know, yeah, I could see that. But
just bring
even
two
then,
guitars.
I guess, yeah. How do you not have that time to switch?
Because
or just have an acoustic on one of those stands where you walk up.
Yeah,
and
just
play.
bring an acoustic and electric. Like, it's fine. This is, again, whoever said it in the chat, I think they're right. This is a solution in need of a problem.
Yeah.
So the way I always gig, I'm always bringing at least two guitars just to have a backup, and I use both guitars. You know, I'll bring usually a single coil and a humbucker guitar for a gig. Right. And that way, if and when I break a string, I don't have to worry about changing strings. And it's not, I will bring an acoustic and an electric. Sometimes I'll bring an acoustic and two electrics. It's not a problem. Like, I've never been on a gig where I've brought two electrics and an acoustic and thought, oh my God, I wish I didn't have to bring all these guitars. Like, oh, this is such a pain. This is like really slowing me down. It's an extra 30 seconds of setup and breakdown time. Yeah. And it's a couple points in the set where you're switching guitars.
Yeah.
I don't see the need, even with the artists that I know and have played with who switch between acoustic and electric during the gig, they just switch in between songs and it's fine.
Right.
Like,
apparently they come with acoustic strings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which, I mean, acoustic strings,
it's fine.
You can use a magnetic pickup. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
But as far as like a playability standpoint, I mean, I guess the whole idea is you're not going to shred on this thing. You know, you're not going to be playing.
And then there's the other side of the sound. And just judging off of the YouTube videos that I've watched, I thought Paul David's video was the best. Just, you know, knowing that it's Paul, he killed it. He totally killed it. I just don't think it sounds good. I think
did you plug one in when you played it, or did you just like kind of play?
I just like sat and held it, and to be fair, like the build quality, it felt really nice. Like you could tell, like
it's an American-made Fender,
well-made Fender guitar, and like again, the people that are building these things, because that's the other thing I want to be careful of too with this is like it's so easy for people on the internet to just sit on your armchair and just shit on these products, but you have to also realize, man, like these are people, like this is people's jobs to build these things. It's people's jobs to like develop these things. And like a lot of people put a lot of time and hard work into developing this product. And I want to be respectful of that. So yeah, from a build quality perspective, I totally get it. It's very well made. Right. It doesn't sound good. I think to pull this off, you would have had to make it sound so unbelievably realistic in terms of the acoustic sounds, and you'd have to make it sound so much like a Jazzmaster or a Tele or Strat or whatever that it's like, well, yeah, it might look a little goofy and it might be a little weird, but you can't deny that it sounds great. But I don't think they pulled that off.
Yeah, I plugged one in and played it at Corner Music. Shout out to them in Nashville, and I was like, okay, it sounds pretty good, but I remember playing a Martin that had the Fishman Aura system, the one that had all the emulated microphone thing. And this was years ago, and it was plugged into like just a Bose, one of those Bose tower things. And it sounded like shockingly good.
Yeah, I have one of the Fishman Aura DIs that I bought years ago when I was gigging with an acoustic. And it, again, like that voice print DI, it's really good. It has a 3-band EQ on it. It has the compressor on it, and you can dial in the different profiles, and then you can blend in the amount of profile with the acoustic DI sound.
Yeah.
And that, to me, they were doing that 6 or 7 years ago, and it sounds awesome.
You know, I have a K&K in my Gibson J50. And I run it.
Bourgeois, yeah.
They're great. And I run it into a LR Baggs Para DI, just that little brown brick that everyone has. And you tweak that, it sounds awesome. Like you're right. Like if the Acoustasonic series, and I don't think they sound bad. And I think it takes a little work to make them sound really good, but I think you could do that. But in a gig situation, if you don't have time to switch between an electric guitar and acoustic guitar, how are you going to have time to like fiddle with presets unless you have it all like on some sort of MIDI setup or a multi-effect to go from like your killer acoustic sound to your killer electric sound? If you don't have time for that, like I don't see the need for this guitar.
And you know what? I think I'm realizing now, I think we are not the target audience for this.
Absolutely not. No.
I don't know that, like, I think to use what was the comment a couple weeks ago? We're a little too insider baseball or whatever.
Inside baseball, yep.
I think,
but not even then. It totally doesn't fit with our approach to the instrument and our approach to gigging. You know, like it doesn't. It has to solve a problem that you have, and we don't have that problem.
But who has the problem? That's my question. It's like, who has this problem?
You know what? This kind of ties back into something I was going to talk about at the beginning about how I'm going to approach setting up my my workspace.
Right.
So I was talking to Adrian at Thorpe Pedals over in the UK, and he mentioned Japanese like how they set up manufacturing, and they have this thing called Kaizen. Have you ever heard about this?
I think I have, actually, in the car world.
Yeah,
it's like the idea of like perfection and.
That's it. Toyota came up with this, and it's like change for the better, Kaizen.
Right.
And the idea is if you see a solution, you make a small change and fix the problem right then and there. And then from that point on, everything gets easier and easier. And I feel like for a lot of people, this guitar is doing that for their gig. You know, it's their solution to a problem that they have. You know, it may not make sense for us, and I don't think there's any way
I don't agree with that, though. I don't.
Well, I don't either. But like, you know, this is all really personal, and you know, someone's, again, if you have one of these guitars, and obviously there's a lot of people out there that do, let us know what you think. Look, you know, watch the video, hear what we say, and then give us some opinion.
Yeah. Again, I just want to reiterate, like, we're not trying to just be negative. Like, this is an open discussion. Like, let us know in the comments. I want to know, because I want to know. I want to have my eyes opened here, because as of right now, I don't get, especially at $2,000. I don't get it at $2,000. Again, if it was $799, even if it was $1,000, if it was $999, I'd be like, it's a little pricey, but okay. But at $2,000, I don't get it. I think it's way too much money, and especially for the problem that it's trying to solve, that I don't really see as a big problem to begin with, and with the aesthetic issues and it's just.
It's not for us. It's not for us. It's not for us.
The biggest question that I have, and maybe maybe we should try and like talk to someone at Fender about this, is like, what made you go down this path? And I don't say that in a condescending, like,
what happened to you?
No, I mean that in the most genuine way. Like, I want to know the thought process behind why you decided to sink millions of dollars, more than likely, into development, tooling, manufacturing, promotion. Because have you seen the commercials for this thing? Like, the commercials that they've shot are
awesome,
unbelievable. The one that was like,
it goes like spins,
like spinning and liquid. Like, whoever produced that commercial was phenomenal.
Oh, dude, they earned every cent they put.
That could not have been cheap, because I watched the commercial like 3 or 4 times on Instagram. So I was like,
wicked.
What? How did they do that?
There's one where the table starts like rippling, like there's sound on it.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But okay, so let's move on to the second part of this, which is the YouTube marketing thing. So
sure.
This is interesting. If you follow other niches in YouTube, specifically like the tech niche and like the camera niche, this kind of marketing campaign has been going on for years, which is a company sends out products to the influencer community with an embargo, and they say, okay, here, you can have early access to this camera, and the official release date for you to drop your video is whatever. Now, I took part in this most recently with the Quad Cortex. As far as I can remember, that's the only time I've ever done that, is like drop a video on the release day. No, because I don't think I dropped the Night Sky video until like a week later or something like that.
But you did have an embargo, but you didn't drop a video.
Yeah, I had an embargo, but and the Night Sky wasn't as big as like the Quad Cortex or this. No. They sent that out to like a handful of people. And my review of the Night Sky was like, it's cool. If you're a guitar player, I don't think it's for you.
Don't buy it.
Which I stand by. I think that's still right. But anyway, I didn't know this was coming out. And then I saw, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday?
It was Tuesday.
I saw my feed just inundated with Acoustasonic stuff. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Paul got one. Oh, Mary got one. Oh, they got one. Oh, they got one. They got one. They got one. Hold on. And I started like going through, and it's like, everybody got one. So how do we feel about that? And by we, I mean, how do you guys feel? Is that annoying when, and I'm asking the chat here, I'm also asking the comments, like, yeah, does it turn you off?
To me, it feels really disingenuous. And I know this is the world we live in, right? To get noticed, you have to make a big splash.
Right.
I mean, I don't feel like Fender has to do that as much as, so if I had done that, it would have been, monumental. It would have also cost me more money than I could afford. But like, whenever I see that, just me as a consumer, it really turns me off.
Right. Oh, Matt corrected me. In the JHS Legends of Fuzz, I was in on that too. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Totally right. I did that. So I've done it twice, I think. Yeah. Okay. So the chat's like super annoying, hated it, instantly turns down interest. And you know what? I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I learned something in this as not being part of this release. Honeyboo, I literally unfollowed several accounts because of it. I had a similar reaction. And this was like, as a YouTuber and as one of these people being on the other side of it, I was like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't, and this is, I'm not dishing on any of my, fellow creators or friends or anything. Like, again, I've done it. I'm, but I don't know that I will do it again. After seeing this week, it'll have to be a really special thing for me to want to jump in on like the big release day. And again, I say that knowing full well that any company or marketing person that hears this probably means I won't get the thing. That's totally fine. I'm not worried about the gear, and I don't get paid for these videos either, other than keeping whatever piece of gear. So, it's not a bottom line or money thing for me. But yeah. Yeah,
man, I felt this way for a time, because this is not a new tactic, Mm-hmm. I think the reason it was like so shocking this time was just because the guitar was so garish, but I feel like it's just forcing a reaction or something. It just feels so, I don't want to use the word phony. I mean, that's the first thing I want to say, but just knowing that Fender or whoever, when they do this, they're sinking. I mean, it's just in gear, even if the guitar, the guitar doesn't cost them $2,000 to make, mm-hmm. but they're still losing every single, all the money that it took to produce that instrument, and they're just giving those away. And I mean, how many guitars did they give away? 30? That's a ton of money. And that they had to pay some of those people, which is fine. That's their job. That's what they're there to do. That's what, they're there for. If that's their MO, fine. But to me, it's an immediate turn off to know that, this company is not trying to build this up with a grassroots or a natural, just people's excitement. They're just wanting everyone to see it and get excited about it. And then I feel like it's going to fade away. And it just really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. So the chat's talking about, you can't be objective when you're being paid to show it off, and you're right. And you could even argue with that too. Like, well, if you get to keep the gear, then that's payment and you can't be objective there. I actually disagree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
I remain pretty objective with all my videos when I'm making them, even when I get to keep the gear. But you have to keep in mind too, that the point of all these videos is not necessarily to be objective. You're right. If a company is paying you, in a lot of cases, like thousands of dollars to make these videos and giving you the piece of gear, yeah, they don't want you to be objective. They want the views, they want the eyeballs, which is fine. I mean, it's advertising, right? That's how magazines have worked for decades and decades. Hey, I'm going to pay you to buy an ad in your magazine, right? In many ways, Guitar YouTube is the modern day. It's what, Guitar Player magazine was in the 80s or 90s, right? Like we have our own magazines essentially. And so that's not something that I typically do, like in terms of the paid, hey, this video is sponsored by this. Now I'm going to show you this pedal and talk about how great it is.
The Mythos Oracle, for example.
For instance, this Mythos Oracle, this analog delay, it's the most analog-y delay you'll ever play.
Yeah.
So just because it's a creative thing for me, I have experienced a few times. So the most recent one was the Capture X. Last year, Two Notes wanted to pay me to make a video about the Capture X. And I quoted them a price thinking that it wouldn't work. And they were like, okay, cool. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then we went back and forth for a few months on how to make the video. And when a company is paying you for a video, oftentimes they want input in how the video is made and what you say. They want to see the video before it goes live. They want to suggest edits, which is totally fair, right? They're paying you to have access to your platform. That didn't work for me. And what we ended up doing with Two Notes was like, hey, look, I want to make the video that I want to make about this thing. I think it's a cool piece of gear. I genuinely like it. Therefore, I'm going to make a video on it. But I have to maintain control of this. I have to be able to say whatever I want to say about it. Therefore, forget the money. Let me just keep the thing and I'll get to make the video. You guys don't see it before it goes up. I just make it and put it up. And they were cool with it. So you have to keep that in mind. Like when you're watching YouTube and you see this whole dump of videos, they're not all like reviews, right? Paul's was a review, and he said at the end of the video, like, yeah, I wouldn't buy this thing. But I think some of the other ones were just like, hey, here's this new Jazzmaster, check it out,
Right. Yeah. It's a weird line in a conversation that maybe we've had already, and I think we could have, a multitude of times, but I barely watched any of them. I saw RJ, he like a post on Instagram, and it sounded pretty cool, like doing a little bluesy thing, but it's like, RJ could play, his play My Novo unplugged, and it would sound just as interesting.
That's the other thing you have to keep in mind. I think that pedal show did a video on this recently, like gear demos. You have to keep in mind with gear demos, like I know how to play guitar. I know how to produce guitar tracks. I know how to make things sound the way I want them to sound.
Yep.
So if you hear me play the Mythos Oracle, the most analog delay that you'll ever play, it may not be like an actual fair representation, and it may not be what sends you over the edge of whether you should buy the Mythos Oracle, the most analog delay you'll ever play. Because I'm putting a lot of work into how I make my guitar sound, and that may not be, your mileage may vary, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the perfect example of this is Andy at Pro Guitar Shop. He made every pedal sound great through a deluxe reverb. And I'm here to tell you folks, that's not always true.
Right.
So, they're absolutely right. 100%.
So, Acoustasonic Jazzmaster, listen, again.
What's next?
Somebody in the chat said the Acoustasonic P bass.
See, to me, that would make more sense, because if it had like an upright thing,
I guess.
Like you're not like, it's easier to haul around an electric bass than an upright bass. That's why they built the damn things. But like, Isn't that crazy? And this is something that I think a lot of people forget. Like in the early 50s when guitar was it was still king, like the electric bass, even though it was super crucial, hadn't really taken off that much yet. So people were still playing uprights and having to gig with those things. These lucky guitar players who showed up with a little box and a case, and their amp and then their case. Anyway.
That's yeah, there we go. An hour of dishing on the Jazzmaster. Now Fender will never work with us again. It's fine.
What would be the Acoustasonic Mustang?
I don't know.
Like the travel version. Like
I don't know.
Short scale.
Do they need to do any more of these? Like that's my other question. Is like
I didn't see this one coming. So I had a dealer. Their name will remain a mystery. Send me say, hey, like they said, God, I can't believe they're releasing this thing, and they told me like a week or so before it even came out, and I was like, they're making what? So I'm fully anticipating something else like that happening because I mean, if this is a hit, they're gonna keep on swinging for the fences.
And look,
more baseball.
Fender, please hear me say, I applaud you for trying new things, man. Try new things.
Sure.
We talked about at the beginning of the episode. Try it out. Try new things. Just try it. This, in my opinion, in this YouTuber's opinion, didn't land. But obviously, I'm in the minority because a lot of people are buying these things, and they must be making a killing on them because they've made 3 of them now. So props to Fender. I'm glad people are buying guitars. I'm glad people are keeping that company going. I'm a Fender guy. I get it. I like what they do, but this is just not for me.
Nope. Well, you want to move on to our shill of the week?
Yeah.
I mean,
after we unshilled Fender, let's make up for it by shilling for other stuff.
Sure.
People were telling me last week, like, dude, you should make a Rhett shill T-shirt with like the S as the money sign kind of thing. It's like, I don't know. Should I
No, don't do that. That's a little too on the nose.
It's on the nose.
For like, I don't know. It's like you don't want to give your enemies ammunition.
Well, I think it kind of takes the ammunition from them.
Maybe.
But anyways, all right. Speaking of shilling.
Yes. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Okay. So I don't know where you can. Well, I know where I bought this. I'm taking my light off of this thing, but this thing is really handy for me, and I think more people should know about it. So I have this metal stand. It's just a hinged. I don't know what it started life at, but it's called a Rip Flip, and they're made by this dude in Nashville. But it's just a heavy duty. I don't know what it's metal. I don't know what kind of metal with some rubber feet, and this is got Velcro on it, and it's made for putting your tuner on when you're doing guitar setups. This guy is a tech, for big touring guitar players, and he made these as on your workbench. You have this. You can Velcro. You can take your pedal tuner off your pedal board, or if you have another tuner, you can just Velcro it right to here, any tuner, and plug it in where you're doing setups. And it's super handy. And I've used it for pedal videos. Whenever I put a pedal up for doing a video, I can just Velcro it right to this. It holds it. It's it has a wider base, so it keeps it from going anywhere. But yeah, I don't know. I've never seen anyone talking about these, and I don't even know if he's still making them. It looks like a hinge for a
big door,
gate or door,
like a gate hinge. That looks like something you'd see on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Sharks. I'm looking for $500,000 for 5% of my company, Rip and Flip.
Oh my gosh, Shark Tank! Every single member of my family. And I use this for my light, and it's just super handy. But if you do setups a lot and you have like a workbench, I think it's a
cool product.
Idea.
I like that. That's cool.
But every single member of my family, when they're they ask about the pedal business, and I'm like, oh, it's doing well.
You should go on Shark Tank.
You should go on Shark Tank. Like, no. That's the least punk rock thing. Me building it up myself and growing this business to support my family isn't enough. I need to go on television and talk to these goobers that don't know anything about anything, about guitars or anything. They don't have, no, thank you.
Sharks, I'm looking for $100,000 for 5% of the Oracle, the most analog delay you'll ever play. Have you always wanted that sweet Bucket Brigade tone but didn't know where to find it? Have you always wanted to be able to have an analog delay with a tap tempo, but you hate the other colors and you have to have red on your pedal board. Hence the Oracle.
The only thing I want Mark Cuban to do is still push cryptocurrency, so all of my investments continue to go up. That's all I want.
I can see them all like sitting at their chairs, like looking at this, like I like the knobs. The knobs are very nice. Tell me about these switches. Did you make these switches or?
So are these custom? Do you build each one individually for
how
a
many
single
have you
player?
sold? They're like writing in their notebooks, but they're not writing shit in there. Come on, that's for we're doing business here.
They just have like there's not even a ink in their pen. It's just like there's.
Oh my god, anyway. The memes in the chat right now are great.
I've never watched Shark Tank because I know it would immediately make me angry.
I actually kind of enjoy it.
It's a cool concept, people get they have a thing, but like for me it's like it's like all your friends when they find out you sing and they're like, "Oh, you should go on American Idol." You shouldn't.
No, you should not do that. Although I will say there have been some success stories that came from that show. It's not all.
I can't watch it.
It's not all just reality TV BS. Like there have been some successful. We were watching it last night. Actually, I kind of enjoy it.
To me, it's like watching someone sing in church when you're a kid, and like there's that person up on on the stage at church and they're singing. Like to me, I can't even look at them. I'm so uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Holy shit! You're right. It's kind of like that. It is kind of
because you're like you're like doing one of these and like.
What's funny too, because you get people that come in there. The one last night, this woman had she had developed this thing for like diaper cream where it's like a nozzle that you put on there and it like swipes on.
You were talking about The Voice.
Yeah. She was on The Voice talking about diaper cream. No, she had done this thing, and the genius, the thing she did right was get it patented herself. She didn't spend like $100,000 getting a patent done, which I was like, bravo. But she completely missed the point of why she was even on there, because the real genius behind her design was the fact that it would fit different sized like nozzles on different like tubes of things. So it's like you could have one cap that would fit on like a bunch of different sizes of and products. And like that was the real idea. The diaper cream nozzle was kind of a flop, but I started yelling at the TV because one of the guys, I didn't know who it was like, okay, I'll give you this. I want 10% of the diaper cream thing, but I want 100% of the licensing on the dual nozzle thing. And I was like, no, don't you take that deal. Don't you take that deal. He's stealing your idea from you. That's horrible.
Right.
And she was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. So I got suckered into the reality TV
Dumb
thing.
People. So. Anyway, what's your shill? Sorry.
This is a really niche product that most people won't care about, but I'm really, really excited about. I bought some new microphones and they came in this week. I got.
Oh, I've seen those. I've used those.
Yeah. So I bought my first set of ribbon mics, both from AEA. Now I did get an artist deal, an artist price on these. So I didn't pay full price. So it is somewhat of a shill of a sponsored.
No.
thing.
I mean, like I get industry pricing too. It's like, it happens. Yeah. It's,
So ribbon mics, I've been in the hunt for a good ribbon mic for quite some time. I love ribbons. They're really useful. You can use them for all kinds of stuff. So I've used these on sessions before. The one I'm showing right now is the R84 from AEA. I mean, just look at that thing, dude.
Oh, they're so cool. They're so cool.
It just looks rad. Then the other one I bought is the R92, which we can show a picture of. But yeah, they're great on vocals. I was going to use it as my vocal mic today, but I thought it might be a little like kind of goofy
little
looking.
Much.
Just with like this. But yeah, they're really cool. Just really useful ribbons. You can use them on literally everything. Guitars, acoustics, pianos, vocals, drums. They're awesome.
Layman Drug Company. It's a Layman Drug Company. Layman, like Lay.
Oh, okay.
They're a studio in Nashville off like 3rd Avenue, and I've recorded demos there with Joey and Ariel and stuff. And they have like a live room upstairs where they do all their tracking, and they have one of those, and it's huge. I don't know the model.
Oh, the big one.
It's a big one.
That's the R88. That's the stereo version of this. That's basically two of these in one case.
They use that as a room mic.
Yeah, they're super cool.
And I remember when I was listening back after we, recorded, and they were like, "This is the room mic," and I was like, "Just use that. That sounds great."
Yeah.
Because we were loud and stuff.
I did a session at the Bomb Factory in Nashville a few years ago where we used an R88. It was like an acoustic and then 2 or 3 singers, and we just all got around the mic and played, and it sounded amazing. They're so cool.
That's so neat.
I'll probably end up getting one of the R88s too, because these things sound really good. They're made in LA, I think. AEA is based out of LA. But so, yeah, the 84 is kind of like their standard, you know, their kind of go-to mic for everything. The R92, I've used it on guitar before, and that's primarily what I got it for. It's a really good kick mic. It's a really good guitar mic. It's good on vocals too. But interesting thing about the R92, and I think the 84 as well. So a ribbon mic is a figure 8 pattern, which if you're not familiar, I did a video on this not too long ago, self-shill. Basically, it picks up in front of the mic on axis, and it picks up right behind the mic, and there's null points on the side. So picture a figure 8, right?
Yeah.
And what they do is they voice the different nodes differently. So on the R92, the front is like very crisp, very clear, very accurate. But then you can turn the mic around and mic your source with the back of the mic, and it's more of a vintage ribbon sound. So it's rolling off a lot of high end. It's more warm. There's more bass response. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with ribbons. I love microphones.
Yeah. Do you have any of the fat heads?
I don't have any fat heads, no.
That was when I first tried to start making like demos myself, someone was like, "Oh, just get a Cascade fathead, and like if you have a 57, just use both of those, and it's like you're done." For like, you know, the entry level guy.
Yeah.
Because like fatheads are cheap. Like all things considered.
Yeah.
But they're like really robust, and I think they even have protection if you accidentally send like phantom power to it, you won't blow them up.
Yeah. So you have to be careful with ribbons for 2 things. First of all is like air moving. So if you're miking a kick drum, you never put a ribbon in front of the port.
Yeah.
Because it can actually like break the ribbon or stretch the ribbon. So one thing you always want, if you are going to mic in front of the port, you put a pop filter in front of the ribbon. The other thing you want to be careful of is phantom power. Generally, you don't send phantom to a ribbon. Now, these AEAs, they have some protection built in, so you won't blow the ribbon if you run phantom. Right. But just as a general rule, when I hired Chris, the first thing I told him, I was like, because I just ordered these mics, it's like, listen, rule number 1 of the studio, never send phantom power to a ribbon mic.
Yeah.
Just don't
or store it laid down.
Yeah. Just don't do it. So,
well, there we go.
There we go, everyone. Long episode today. We had to make up for not being here last week.
And you know, lastly, just thinking about the Acoustasonic again. Sorry. I can't. Oh, I'm tied up. If you have an electric guitar that can do this, just mic it up because it'll sound probably just as good. One last burn. I had to get it in there.
God. Yeah. They're never going to work with us again.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
I'm friends with some of those guys, but like we're competitors. They're making their pedals. I'm making mine, so
they're good people over there.
Go on.
Yeah. Ben and Steven, the Nashville, the crew, they're good guys. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so anyways, that's it, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Don't forget, leave a comment below. Tell us why, if you own an Acoustasonic, tell us why you bought it. That's a genuine question. It's not a burn. We're not going to argue with you or talk trash or anything. We genuinely want to know. Leave that in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe. We're over 5K now. Let's get push us to 10K.
And leave us a review on Apple. Do all this stuff. We couldn't do this without you guys being a part of the community. So
yeah, 10,000 subscribers is the hardest thing to do on YouTube.
I think we'll get there by the end of 2021. Hopefully.
So.
We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe people hate us.
We might hit 51 and not even get a year's worth of podcasts. And you go, what? You know what? Fuck it.
That was fine. We did it. It was fine. Moving on.
All right.
See y'all.
Bye.